Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast, the show where we answer all of the questions that you send in every week while we discuss all of the latest in the world of wrestling, sport, movies, TV, gaming, you name it. So this week on the show, we are going to review the recent WWE Backlash pay-per-view, including, dare I say it, I'm not happy to say this, I don't want to say this, I wish I didn't have to say it, but including Jinder Mahal winning the WWE Championship. Wow. I don't know, am I going to go on a 20-minute rant today on Jinder Mahal, or am I just going to keep it short and sweet? I don't know how I'm going to go about it. You know, I was thinking about it the other day, and I think I went, you know, I felt as though I could go 30 minutes at least on, you know, ranting on this guy. But, you know, maybe we'll keep it short and sweet. Maybe we'll get to the point this time. I don't know. But we're going to chat about Jinder. That's probably going to be a big portion of the show. There's been a bit of an update about the Boyz Broken Gimmick, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a company that you guys know that I don't really care for or like at all, but What Culture, and the situation there with the YouTube monetization. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and it's becoming a little bit more prominent, and some people are really starting to become more affected by it, including fellow Universe Mode creator Gorham Perkins. So I think they're going to be cutting back on the amount of videos they're doing because of their revenue going down. So we'll chat about that as well. So that's a bit of a bigger issue, and something that obviously hits close to home as well. We're going to be bringing back the Fast Five as well. We've got 5 quick questions we're going to get to, and of course, Backlash, SmackDown, and Raw. We're going to talk about all of those, and a bit of gaming chat at the end as well. As well as that, including your questions as well. So let's get into it. And obviously, Backlash is what we're going to kick it off with, but we're just going to mainly touch on Jinder Mahal. We'll get to the rest of Backlash probably later. But here we go. Jinder Mahal defeated Randy Orton at Backlash. Bit of outside interference. The Singh, are they brothers? Oh, I don't know. Jinder Mahal's cronies, or J&J 2.0. They obviously helped out quite a lot to get Jinder the victory, so it wasn't exactly squeaky clean or anything like that, and nor should have been. You know, I don't think a clean victory would have been right. So they went in the right direction there. A non-clean victory was the right call. But, yeah, so look, Jinder Mahal's the WWE Champion. Jinder fucking Mahal is the WWE Champion right now. I mean, honestly, is this a joke? Is this a dream? I don't know, man. Look, they've done everything they possibly could do in the short period of time to get this guy over, to get this guy in a position where he's ready for the championship. But here's the thing. Jinder Mahal is nowhere near ready this opportunity. And a lot of people, I've been reading comments all week, and it's very much so you're either for it or really against it. And the reason why people are for it is mainly it's something new, it's someone new, and I hear the argument all the time, oh, you guys always want someone new, you want new stars to be pushed, new stars to be made, and as soon as they make a new star or try to make a new star, you shit all over it. And that's the argument that a lot of people are going with, and I really believe that's, you know, not most people's arguments. I don't think anyone really has a problem that it's Jinder Mahal, the actual wrestler, that it's Jinder Mahal. I don't think, you know, sure, people would like to see Sami Zayn in that spot, or a Cesaro in that spot, or many other guys get that opportunity. I don't think many people really are too caught up about the fact that it's actually Jinder Mahal. I think they're caught up to the fact that it's a guy with zero credibility, hot-shotted into the main event, who's obviously not ready for it. His promo skills aren't good enough. In-ring skills aren't good enough. And he doesn't know how to be a draw. Doesn't know how to be a star. Doesn't know how to be a main event guy. So he's on the job training. It's a tough situation for Jinder, and I kind of feel for the guy. He's in a really, really tough spot, and he's doing his absolute best, no doubt. But really, he's set up to fail. Because if he does a great job, well, you know, wow, okay, that's great. But as soon as he does something bad, everyone's going to turn on him. If he has a bad match, the spotlight is really on him. If he has a bad match, everyone's going to turn on him. And I'll talk about this later. But Nakamura at Backlash, the consensus was that he didn't have a great match against Dolph Ziggler. And I have been reading comments everywhere. Nakamura's overrated, Nakamura sucks, Nakamura's a has-been, Nakamura's not as good as everyone thinks he is, you know, he's got no moves, the only moves he can do are kicks, which is just ludicrous, unbelievable. It's just how quickly wrestling fans will turn on someone if they don't give them what they want, and that is a 5-star performance. Now, everyone's kind of giving Jinder Mahal a bit of leeway, which is good. You know, he needs that, because this is a guy who's gone from wrestling 5-minute matches and getting probably 30 seconds of offense in a match to now having to do 15, 20-minute main events and being, you know, the guy who's kind of getting most of the offense. He's facilitating the match. He's the main guy in the match. So it's a big change for Jinder, and that's a change that some guys can handle. Not many, but some, you know, a lot of them can't. And a lot of them gotta, you know, instead of, it's really a sink or swim type of situation, and most guys are going to sink in this situation. So Jinder, look, you know, he's trying his best. I don't think the material that they're having him work with is really benefiting him at all. I think his promos are not good. He's basically saying the same thing every week, which isn't helping. This whole anti-American thing, we've talked about it already on the show, but basically they're trying to fabricate a dissension between America and India. And last time I checked, nobody really hates India. And like I said last week, the only time I've ever hated India is when they beat Australia in the cricket. That's about it. That's the only time I've ever hated India. I don't really, other than that, I have no issue with India whatsoever. I would never really want to go there. I have really no desire to, you know, visit there or experience their culture. It's just not my thing. But, you know, I don't have an issue with India. So I don't think most people have an issue with India. I think most people don't really know much about India. You know, I think they know it's there and it's, you know, a bit of a poor country and there's a lot of people there. But what else do they really know about India other than that? Probably not a lot. So I don't think people really care that much about India. So to try and fabricate this dissension between the two and people, you know, that all of a sudden now we hate Indians, I think that's ridiculous. It's just not true. And Jinder Mahal coming out of nowhere saying, you people hate me because of what I look like and who I am and where I'm from. Well, not really. You know, I don't think people really are, you know, so it's not really working in that regard. That's why I really believe they've got to change gears and stop going with that and say, well, you know, you people don't like me because, you know, I'm in this position when someone else that you want isn't there. But you know why they're not in this position? Because they're not as good as me. You know, I won that #1 contenders match. I beat Randy Orton. And to say, hey, look, I beat Randy Orton all on my own. And yeah, we all know he didn't, but yeah, heels lie. That's what they do. You say, I beat Randy Orton all on my own. I'm in this position thanks to me, not thanks to anyone else. And just go from there. You know, be a cocky champ. He doesn't have to be, oh, you guys hate me because I'm Indian. Well, no, we don't. It's, you know, if you're going to get heat, I mean, yeah, some people are going to, you know, chant USA, USA, but really, that's just really cheap heat. It's not good heat. It's just, you know, cheap. You know, I don't think that's going to really last long. It's going to really work long term. You know, Rusev was obviously, you know, they put the whole Russia thing against him, and you know, a lot of people aren't very happy with Russia right now. So that made sense. That worked. But India, no, not really. No, I don't really see it. So I really believe him just being cocky and playing on that fact that, you know, people perhaps, you know, because half the crowd probably don't mind that he's in that position, and half the crowd are furious that he's getting that position, and I'm probably on the one that isn't exactly very happy that he's in that position. So I would play on that. But they seem to really go down this way that he's got to be this anti-American. I just feel like it's, yeah, I just don't like that. I feel like they could do so much better with him with another direction, but you know, Vince is adamant on having that, and I believe you could bring back Rusev and just do that same thing and probably do it a lot better. But for some reason, they believe India is going to be, you know, the one. And look, you know, the thing is, they're trying to market Jinder Mahal in India, and you know, Jinder Mahal healing it up on TV. I don't know if that's, you know, the best idea to really market to the Indians. And here's the thing, I don't get this. The WWE is so fixated on having foreigners as heels. The only real guy that was a babyface from a different country, and I'm not going to include Canada really, because that's very, very similar to the United States, is like a Rey Mysterio from Mexico, and you know, he's American anyway. But So you look at Alberto Del Rio, always been heel lately. Wade Barrett, I'm sure Drew Galloway or Drew McIntyre, when he comes back up to the main roster, he'll be a heel. There's so many foreigners are heels, and I'm just thinking, like, wouldn't it be a great story if Jinder Mahal got this massive win and he's this huge underdog and nobody expects him to win, and he does it. He gets this amazing win. He accomplishes this huge victory, and he's doing it for his country. He's trying to be, he wants to make his country proud. He wants to turn his life around, turn his career around. To me, that's something you can cheer about. That's a babyface that you could cheer for. Absolutely. And in my opinion, from what I read online, from my interactions with Indian people, is that's what they would cheer for. That type of hero, that type of person. Not someone who's coming out there trying to heal it up. I think if you're really looking to be successful in that Indian market, a babyface champion would have been the way to go to begin with. Now, Jinder Mahal may not be able to pull that off, but, look, he has a good look about him, and that look and that size about him is more heelish than babyface, of course, which is probably the thing hindering that babyface run. But, I just feel like, if you want to, market a guy to be a popular superstar in a country, I don't know about being a heel. That's probably the opposite of what they're trying to accomplish. And on that note, the Indian thing. Now, the rumor is that WWE are trying to expand their network into India, grow the network there, become popular, and really kind of grab a piece of the pie in that Indian market and grow WWE in India. Now, if you ask someone like Jinder Mahal or Great Khali or people who have been to India, they'll tell you that wrestling is huge in India. Wrestling is massive. You hear this all the time. Wrestling is huge in India. It's such a huge market, such a huge opportunity. In reality, it's really not. What's huge in India is cricket. That's their religion. From what my experience, my knowledge, that's what's huge. And, they know of wrestling. And again, I've never been to India. I'm just working on what my knowledge is. But they know wrestling. They know it's there. But it's not exactly, these guys aren't exactly household names or major stars over in India. It's not, you don't hear too much about it. Absolutely, they've got their fans. But it's not like their number one sport or number one form of entertainment or anything like that. So to say that wrestling is huge in India, I think is a real overstatement. And look, there is 1.3 billion people in India, and it will be, if it's not already. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not quite up to date with the populations, but it will be the biggest country in the world in terms of population very soon. If not, it already is. I'm not sure. So there is a lot of people in India to market to, and if you can establish WWE in India, that is a good business decision. But here's the thing. With India, there's a lot of people that are poor. There's no real middle class in India. There's the rich, and then there's the poor. So there's a hell of a lot more people that are poor in India than there is rich. So realistically, the chances of getting these people to subscribe to the WWE network, you're taking out a massive portion of that country already. Yes, you could get them as fans, absolutely, and maybe one day they could attend a show or, consume the product somehow, sure. But if they're strictly going off networks, because I don't think they've got really that many plans to tour India. I think they're doing a tour in September. So they're not going to really run that many shows in India or any shows that's really going to do much. They're not going to set up a WWE India or anything like that. So that's not really in the question. It's more network subscriptions and perhaps merchandise. And if you've got a country that's really heavily poor, that's a big portion of potential consumers already taken out of the picture. So now you're really kind of working on the rich. And, I'm not sure what percentage of the country that is, but then you've got to take in the fact of, what demographic and things like that. So really, that 1.3 billion is really shrunk down to probably a lot less than maybe 100 million for sure. Maybe 50 million. I don't know. I'm guessing. But that number really does shrink of potential members of that Indian market that could subscribe to that network. So that now that you're not really working with that massive number. Yes, you could have a lot of those people within that 1.3 billion as fans, but potential network subscribers is a hell of a lot less. Now, India are very big on social media and that social media presence because, trust me, look, I am a massive fan of cricket. I'm a diehard cricket fan. And Indians love cricket. It's no doubt about it. You go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, any social media about cricket, and there's Indians, Pakistanis, those types of people from that, region of the world, all commenting about it, all talking about it, all, interacting with that. So they're very heavily on social media. That's where I personally see it mostly, because obviously, I'm a big follower of that sport. So you see them everywhere on social media. So they are very heavily on social media. And, WWE can obviously play on that and try and market and appeal to them on that. But in terms of the network subscribers, I'm not sure how many people they could really get there. So if that's their end goal, to get Jinder Mahal as their Indian star and to hopefully get network subscriptions, I don't know how successful that's going to be. And the thing is, why does it have to be an Indian guy to appeal to an Indian market? Yes, you probably would gravitate towards more one of your own, but technically Jinder Mahal's Canadian, really, with Indian descent, obviously, parents being Indian. But so look, it's not like I'm Australian, and just because we don't have a main event Australian superstar doesn't mean I'm not going to like the product. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have someone that I like watching. And I mean, hell, we haven't had a UK champion ever. So it doesn't mean everyone from UK is not going to watch, or so it doesn't necessarily need to have a Indian person to appeal to that market. So I get it. I get why they're obviously trying, and it's not a bad idea. And at the moment, the situation is, if you really wanted to hot shot someone to the main event, who would you pick? And really, there's not a lot of choices, and that's the thing. SmackDown's mid card is really nowhere to be seen. I probably would have liked to have seen someone like Luke Harper in that position instead of Jinder Mahal. But obviously that's not happening. Or Rusev coming back. I think Rusev has certainly earned that. And a lot of people say, well, Jinder Mahal deserves it. And look, yeah, he's been in the company for a long time now. In and out of the company, of course, recent times. But he's gone through terrible gimmicks. He's been jobbed out. He's been through hell and back. But he hasn't really learned to get himself over. There hasn't been a point in time where Jinder Mahal's getting crowd support, getting big cheers, people really enjoying him, putting on great matches. He hasn't really had that, which is my issue. I don't think he knows how to be a top guy. And you don't. You don't. It's on the... that's why mid-card championship, a lot of people think that's, a demotion, or it's not really, that great. But that's a lot of the time... whether you think about it or not, a lot of the time you learn how to be a top guy, if you're carrying that IC or US championship. Someone like Rusev who had a long US championship reign, really came into his own with that championship, putting on good matches, getting his promos right, getting over, getting a reaction. He took that time to learn it through that championship reign, and then when you move up to the main event and you work with the bigger names, bigger stars, I think you can handle the situation better. Whereas Jinder Mahal has gone from 5-minute job matches to now main eventing pay-per-views. So it's a very drastic change, and it's a change that we've never really seen before. People can do the comparison with JBL, but JBL was a mid-card guy, tag team mid-card guy, who's obviously been in the business for a long time as well. Middle guy, lower guy, tag team guy, has gotten himself over as a tag team. He's obviously worked major matches as well. It's a bit different. Whereas Jinder, well, he went from working with the great Khali, really going nowhere, to 3MB, which was a disaster. Then he was released. He's come back. He went with this, what was this, his character, trying to be peaceful Jinder or something like that. Then he went with Rusev and went there, and that didn't really go very far. So he's just really been a bottom guy forever. And now, all of a sudden, because he's in good shape, they've given him this big push. So, look, it's a really strange, bold, risky move. It could pay off. Jinder Mahal may get over. But in my opinion, at the moment, his promos, some people think they're good. I really don't think so. I think they're the same promo every week. They're dull. The delivery's not great. His match with Orton was okay. Nothing really special. So he's yet to really impress me as a main event guy. And look, there's plenty of guys on the roster that don't really impress me. And I'm someone that can be pretty easily impressed as well at times. I'm not that I'm not very harsh of a critic. I used to be fans of someone like a Ryback, so it's not like I don't like the guys who look like Jinder. I think I think Jinder Mahal's got a great physique. Look, you can say what you want to say. I think the guy is on something. You don't look like that with that type of physique, unless you're on something. And he's got this, he's got the back knee to back it up, and that's normally a sure sign. So, look, I hope he's clean. I hope he's avoiding that wellness policy and not kind of getting any red flags there, because if he gets, done there and gets suspended, well, that could really spell the end of his WWE career. So let's hope that doesn't happen for him. But look, I don't have a problem with Jinder Mahal. I just don't feel like he's ready for the position he's in. The thing is, though, look, Randy Orton's not a good champion either. I think we're all kind of sick of him being champion already. So where should we have gone? To be honest, I felt as though AJ Styles probably should have never lost the belt. I think he was doing great. Gets the biggest reactions every night. He's doing so well. Why even bother tampering with that? I don't know. They just made him lose the belt to get Cena. His 16th title reign. Bray Wyatt got the belt for some reason, didn't do anything with it. Randy Orton didn't do anything with the belt. So realistically, they should have just given it back to AJ, who's on top of his game, still putting on great matches, still the most over guy on SmackDown, carrying the show really. So he's probably the guy that should get the championship. But look, something different is good. Absolutely, something different is good, and it is something different. And look, the celebration they did for him on SmackDown was amazing. It was over the top. It was crazy. It was really, really over the top. But that's good. That's what you want to see. But again, the direction that his character is taking, I just feel like they could do something else with him, and I feel like it could be more successful. I just think this anti-American thing is just cheap, it's easy, it's quick, and it's not good. It's not good enough. And look, Jinder Mahal, hasn't been around long enough. They don't even have any merchandise for the champion, which is pretty bad. I'm not sure how many people would actually want Jinder Mahal t-shirts. That's the thing. So, they've got to really start catching up. They're playing catch up right now. Jinder Mahal's playing catch up. He's trying to learn everything as he goes. It's a tough position to be in. I'm very critical of him right now, just because I feel like it's a mistake. I just, like I said, Jinder Mahal going from a job guy to a main event guy overnight just isn't believable. If they had done the underdog story of him, oh my god, he got this amazing victory out of nowhere. How did he do this? Can he do it again? This is incredible. That's more believable. But overnight, he goes from a guy who's doing absolutely nothing, getting bitched out at WrestleMania by Rob Gronkowski and Mojo, to 2 weeks later, he's now a main event guy. It's just not believable. And yes, it is wrestling. Wrestling is fake. What's believable? But as I said, it's like someone who gets, bitched out. He's the guy who's getting beat up in a bar scene, who gets, 10 seconds of airtime in a movie, now goes from being that guy to beating up The Rock the next scene, and we don't even know his name. So that's how I see it. I think it's too much too soon, and I think the hypocrisy from the fans is ridiculous. People talk about Roman Reigns. Look, I'm no Roman Reigns fan. I think he's okay at best. But people talk about Roman Reigns. Oh, I hate Roman Reigns. He gets pushed down our throats. He's getting over-pushed. Well, here Jinder Mahal is now an overnight, main eventer. Has he really done enough to deserve it? No. And, Roman Reigns, at least he's put in 5 years, been a top guy for 5 years, selling merchandise, getting a reaction. His promos are not the best, but Jinder Mahal, arguably, his promos are worse than Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a much better in-ring worker than Jinder Mahal as well. So the hypocrisy there is ridiculous. And that's what annoys me from wrestling fans, is that they'll criticize a Roman Reigns and then they'll praise Jinder Mahal when it's one of the, very similar situation. And if not, it's a hell of a lot worse from Jinder Mahal. And I get it, they don't want Roman Reigns to be the next John Cena. But, Jinder Mahal, look, nothing to the riches and overnight is, crazy. Now he's the WWE Champion. Now he's main eventing shows, and we'll see how it goes. I still feel like Jinder Mahal is not the main vocal point of SmackDown. I still feel like it's AJ Styles and now even Nakamura. I still feel like that's the case. So even though he's the champ, I don't, he didn't even open the show. He came out in the second hour, which I feel like was a mistake. If he's the champ, I would have him come out straight away. Yes, they announced Money in the Bank, which is a big, big match. But, so the end goal here is, look, how long is Jinder going to be champion for? Well, I'm reading that they want to go with him long term. They want to go with him for a while. If he is successful, if he's getting a reaction, if he's doing well, I think they'll keep the belt on him for a while. Because as long as he's champion, I think he'll continue to get better and his reaction will get better. And if he loses the championship, it's right back down. It's going to be very hard for him to maintain that spot at the top. And look, the one thing about Jinder is he looks the part. We mentioned it. His physique is great, and him in a suit is fantastic. He looks like a champion. He looks like a champion. He carries himself as a champion at least. He's a big guy. I think he's what. I think he said he was 6'5". I don't know if he's that big. He may be, but he's a big guy. And he's got a great physique, good look about him. Always looks like he's really angry all the time. I don't know what's the goal of that. I mean, yes, he wants to be a heel. You don't have to look like you're constipated all the time, but that's fair enough. But look, so he looks the part. That's my praise of Jinder. He looks the part. Can he be the part? I don't know. Who's going to beat him for the championship? Look, if Jinder makes it all the way to like a SummerSlam, there's one guy in my mind that is our American hero, our Lord, our Savior, the man who always beats the bad guys, always does it for the people. You know him as John Cena, and that's probably going to be the guy to beat him. Maybe AJ Styles as a babyface, they'll have that happen. But wouldn't shock me if Jinder Mahal loses the belt to Cena. And Cena gets another championship and, beats another anti-American. Just look at Rusev. Never really recovered after losing to Cena. So Cena can ruin another career before it even gets really started this time. But that's all I have to say about Jinder. I don't want to go into it too much. I think we've covered 26 minutes, so we went way into it. But that's really, that's the main vocal point of the week. That's the hot topic right now. So I wanted to give it its due. I want to give it its time because I'm very vocal about it. And I think a lot of us are, like I said, you're either for it or against. You could completely disagree with me. You could be so happy to see Jinder Mahal in this position. And if that's you, then great. But I guess we got to look back, stop looking at it as a booker, and kind of look at it as a fan. And if I did that as a fan, I don't really like Jinder. He doesn't really impress me. Doesn't really, I'm not really entertained by him. So, and as a booker, if we look at it like that, it's a strange decision. So, you can look at it both ways. In my opinion, I still will come out negative. And look, like I said, I'm always going to give someone an opportunity, and I always do. So I'll keep watching, and I'll keep updating you guys. And that's the thing, we can't be too critical of his work because he's been hotshotted in this position. He's not ready for it, so he's doing the best he can. He's doing the absolute best he can, and hopefully he can get better and keep learning. And hopefully, if he has a 3-month championship reign, by the time his reign is over, he's really improved, and he can only improve. Working with Randy Orton, working with AJ, Sami Zayn, he can only improve. Absolutely, it's only going to do him favors. So, I will move on to the next topic, the Matt Hardy broken gimmick situation. Ed Nordholm, I think it is, from Anthem or Impact, basically put out a statement that WWE doesn't want the gimmick. We're happy to negotiate, but WWE doesn't really want to. So take that as you will. It seems as though it's just going to be a never-ending battle between the two right now. The Hardys aren't really getting as far as we probably would have liked. It was great to see them for the first few weeks. Now it's like, now what? What are we going to see from them? Is this a nostalgia act that's, going to wear thin pretty quickly? I think so. I think we're all kind of sitting and waiting. We're like, all right, the Broken Hardys are coming. They're coming. When's it going to happen? Are we going to see it soon? I think we're just waiting, and it's not helping them at all. They're the tag champs, but realistically, I'm enjoying Cesaro and Sheamus a lot more than I am the Hardys. Because the Hardys are not really doing anything. They're just, they're winning all their matches, but they're not really doing anything. There's no real promos, no real character development. They're just kind of in limbo, just, walking in the same spot, walking in quicksand, and, not getting anywhere. So, I look, it may only be a month or so before people start turning on them. Because wrestling fans, like I said, as soon as they don't like something, they'll turn on you. And once they turn on you, it's hard to get them back. You know, we talked about was Nakamura. All the comments I'm reading about Nakamura today is ridiculous. You know, I uploaded a video on my second channel, you know, about Nakamura, and the amount of hate for Nakamura, I could not believe. Nakamura, a guy that nobody ever says a bad word about him, and now all of a sudden he has one mediocre match and everyone is criticizing him. It's crazy how quickly people will turn on someone. So the Hardys, if they don't really change things soon, they could be, you know, in that same direction. They could be getting turned on again. And finally, the last little situation before we get to our Fast Five. What Culture Pro Wrestling. The situation is that they can't do their television tapings, or their YouTube tapings, I guess, because YouTube is not paying enough money. YouTube is no longer really monetizing wrestling. It's not advertiser-friendly content. And basically, anyone who uploads wrestling, real wrestling, on their YouTube channels are not really getting much revenue. To put this into perspective, I think What Culture said that they made $40 from a video that got 1.2 million, and I'm assuming the video is longer than 10 minutes. I could be wrong if it is. If the video is longer than 10 minutes, I think it was a Del Rio and Rey Mysterio match, so I'm guessing it would be, then that video probably would have earned at least $2,500 to $3,000. Now, like, I'm not sure if that's pounds. I don't think that's pounds for them. I think that would be just US dollars. So yeah, so instead of $3,000, they got $40. Now that's a pretty big jump. You know, that $3,000 would have covered probably Del Rio and Rey Mysterio's flight at least. You know, it wouldn't have perhaps covered their wage or anything like that, but then, you know, would cover their flight and helped with a lot of their expenses. And I'm sure the other shows that they would have uploaded got some views as well. So yeah, so there you go. It's a huge change. Wrestling is not the only genre experiencing it. You know, any genre that has some kind of violent material in it is not deemed as advertiser friendly at the moment. So it's across the board on YouTube. Wrestling, I feel like, is a little unfair. I don't feel like wrestling is violent content. I feel like that's there is a petition right now going around doing the rounds that has, I think, 11,000 signatures already. I personally signed it. So that petition is to try and get YouTube to reverse its decision and make wrestling advertiser friendly, which is absolutely correct, because wrestling, it's on, you know, network television, you know, in all around the world, not just America, all around the world, and it's put on at friendly times. Look, wrestling for the longest time here in Australia was played. Monday Night Raw used to come on at 3:30 in the afternoon. And what comes on at 3:30 in the afternoon? Children programs. I used to come home from school and I would watch Raw. You know, as soon as I get home from school, I put Raw on. So that goes to show that there were, and this was back when the Attitude, you know, the Ruthless Aggression era. So, you know, maybe things have changed now, but you know, so wrestling's played at times where children are watching, and children are a major part of their audience. So it's, you know, it's not, and it's a PG show, especially WWE, and I'm sure WWE are doing fine. I'm sure WWE have kind of worked a deal out with YouTube where they can keep uploading, because, you know, WWE would make them so much money. You know, advertisers would want to advertise on their channel because, you know, I think I worked it out. They were making, you know, at least $1 million a month off YouTube. So at least, you know, if not 2-3 million. So big money. But yeah, so, you know, look, it sucks, and I get why YouTube's done it, because here's the thing. YouTube lost a lot of their advertisers because of the situation where ads were being played on videos that were, you know, racist or terrorist acts were being happening in these videos. So ads were being placed on those, so advertisers were freaking out, like, what the hell's going on here, and they're dropping out. So YouTube, instead of really knuckling down and fixing the issue, they've just said, okay, anything that's got any risky content, we are shutting that down. And whilst we're shutting that down, we'll try and figure out how to get a fix. And they're still figuring it all out. They're still figuring out how the change all. That's why I've been saying for a while now that, you know, in a couple months, everything's going to go back to normal, especially on the wrestling side. I think YouTube will have some kind of fix. There'll be some kind of system where they can detect the content, if it's, you know, bad or not, and go from there. And wrestling, you know, even if there was chair shots and there was blood happening and things like that, is it really that, you know, it's entertainment. It's like watching a movie, you know, it's fake. So I think MMA, I definitely would have MMA probably banned, because that's fighting, you know, it's, you know, organized fighting, but, you know, sanctioned fighting, but still, that's violent. So if I had to be, you know, picky about it, personally, I don't have a problem with it. I'm an adult. I can watch MMA without, you know, oh my God, so without getting offended. But, you know, so let's just hope wrestling gets fixed. Let's just hope. And look, I heard that Goran Perkins, you know, people who the two guys who do Universe Mode videos as well, pretty successful. They're having issues as well, not making as much money as they used to on their channel, and they were making, you know, pretty good money. A hell of a lot more than I do. You know, the channel's obviously a lot more successful than I, but they were making pretty good money. And the thing that I didn't really know about that situation is they said that the cost of making videos had increased. I don't know how that could possibly happen, because they don't really do much, you know, extra editing or anything like that to have their cost of videos increase. So I would say, let's be honest, that they're not making the revenue's gone down, the ad revenue, and they're not, you know, not making as much money, so they're not really motivated to do as many videos. If that's the case, then yeah, that's fair enough. But so they're another one that's taking a bit of a hit, and that's very close to home. Obviously, somewhat a part of the WWE Games community, and doing Universe Mode videos as well. And not many people do Universe Mode videos really on a regular basis. You know, I would say Goran Perkins and I are probably the main two. You know, at least when you search up WWE 2K17 Universe Mode, where our videos are. All over that. So, yeah. So there you go. So personally, I haven't had any issues. My channel is still doing, you know, the same, still making the same amount, you know, on the same view. Everything's fine for me personally, which is great. You know, it's a relief that I haven't had to, you know, go and get a real job. Even though I'm trying to get a real job anyways. But and that's the thing. You know, YouTube's not guaranteed. You know, it never has been. I think it's a thing that, you know, we've all kind of grabbed onto, and it's been amazing. Well, the ride's been amazing, but that ride will end eventually, and when it does, everyone's going to really suffer from it. So you have to kind of, you know, counteract that. A lot of people are doing Patreon. That's a big thing at the moment. You know, Twitch, taking donations. So, you know, merchandise. You've got to really branch out and brand yourself more. You know, personally, I'm not. You know, like, obviously my views are doing fine, but as you guys know, I'm getting close to, you know, finishing up college and, you know, thinking about going to get a real job. So my future on YouTube probably is, you know, another year or maybe two max anyways. So I'm not really concerned for the long-term, you know, situation. I'm more just kind of keep doing what I'm doing now, keep enjoying making videos, keep putting videos out for you guys, keep doing what I'm doing. And then, you know, when I, you know, have to make the decision, I will. So I'm not really, you know, I'm not thinking 5 years ahead of my YouTube channel saying, oh man, this is going to be my career. This is, you know, this is what I want to do, because it's not what I want to do. It's something that I really enjoy doing for the short term, but, you know, it's something I like to do on the part-time. I put a lot more hours into it than I should, but, you know, I just enjoy what I do. So, yeah, so look, it's not a, you know, it's something that you've got to appreciate while you have it, but just know that it could go away at any time, and we certainly have started to experience that. So, you know, What Culture, let's hope they sort the situation out. Look, I don't like What Culture. I think their videos are kind of shitty, but, you know, fake news a lot of the time. But, you know, you never want to see a wrestling company go out of business or not be able to, you know, put on a show. And there's a lot of fans for that company, and let's hope that they can turn things around. All right, so we've done a lot of the podcast without much content or much many topics being covered. We've got a few fast fire questions here. We don't really have much else other than that. There's not a lot really to talk about with SmackDown and Raw. You know, I guess we'll get to that now. With Backlash, the only thing I really wanted to kind of say was I was really impressed by the Breezango and Usos match. I think it was a bit of a breakout moment for Breezango. I would love to see them win the tag titles soon. I really would. I think if they can keep getting this, I would hate for them to kind of, now that they lost against the Usos on SmackDown, go back down the card. I would really hate that. I'd love for them to keep getting opportunities and keep doing their case file segments and being goofy and silly, because it differentiates themselves. Let's try that, from the rest. With the comedy thing. Obviously, New Day coming in, no doubt about that. New Day are going to be taking on the Usos next, no doubt. But the New Day's comedy is tired, and they're on my shit list. I'm so sick of them. I couldn't care less that they're coming back. But I think Breezango is something different, something new, something goofy, but it's working. So I'd keep with it, man. Keep with it and don't give up on them. The other thing on SmackDown was I really enjoyed the main event. AJ and Nakamura teaming up to take on Ziggler and Owens. I thought that was a really cool dynamic to see AJ and Nakamura teaming up, obviously knowing their history. That was really cool. And Nakamura feels like a star already. When he talks, it feels like a big deal. His presence just feels like a big deal. And so you can criticize him for the Backlash match, yes, fine, but he just feels like a big deal. And that's what you want. He just carries himself like a star, feels like a star. So that's something we really need. I really believe Nakamura could be something big one day in the WWE. On Raw, we saw Elias Sampson make his in-ring debut. I thought he looked good. I saw Elias Sampson on an NXT house show in December, and he basically did a very similar thing to what he did on Raw, but it obviously lasted a bit longer in the house show. He came out, he started playing the guitar, sang a song, and he started, talking crap to the crowd. And my God, he was getting booed out of the building. The crowd was just screaming at him, "Get him off the stage! Get him off! Get him out of the ring!" It was just booing the hell out of him. And because it was just annoying, it's just, he's not a good singer on purpose, obviously. And, he's playing the guitar in the ring and talking crap about the crowd. And, it was just getting booed out of the building. So it was great heat. It's easy. And I tell you what, I didn't realize how big the dude is. He is a freaking beast. He's huge. He's a big man, and he's built. And he is thick, and he's... Wow. So he has a good size about him. He looks like a big, jacked up Damien Sandow. He's got a cool gimmick. The one thing I would have done is I wouldn't have had him talk. I would have just had him play the guitar and keep that secret nature about him, because for about a month we saw him popping up here and there, and not saying anything. I just like that mystique about him. So I would have kept that. I would have kept that and just have him play the guitar and not sing, not say anything, and just do that. But obviously, the singing obviously helped get a reaction. But I just would have kept that mystique about him. I think that would have been good to play off for at least a while. Then he can explain who he is and whatever. But he looks good. I'm liking this. I really am. And that's the thing. I'm very open to seeing someone new. Like, I was, look at Elias Sampson in NXT. I thought, oh man, this guy's nothing. This guy sucks. But, you just kind of, you see a slow, you slowly bring him out there. You see him pop up here and there. And then, he comes along and, okay, well, all right, let's see what he can do. And he was pretty aggressive in there. He looked good. He didn't lose, which was good. So, I give it a thumbs up. I really do. I like it. I want to see more of it. I really do. Last little note on Raw, Goldust. Back to his old ways. A bit of a classic throwback to the Goldust promos back in the day. I'm all for it. Look, this could be Goldust's last hurrah, and going back to his original roots, I think, is the way to go. And I personally am excited to see where they go with it. An R-Truth feud, I think, is fine, sure. I'm sure probably R-Truth will come out next week, selling the injuries this week, coming out next week, and, they'll start that program. And they'll probably have a match at Extreme Rules, and that's fine. And, look, two veterans going at it, that's absolutely fine. And Goldust... we know he can cut a promo. We know he can work a character, work a gimmick. So, absolutely fine with it. And that's all for the weekly shows. We'll get into this week's Fast 5. And we'll have 5 questions within 5 minutes. And we'll quickly cover a few topics here. Something we haven't really done very well this week on the show. But Fast five. First up, Mike Bennett and Maria. Rumor is they will be coming to NXT very, very soon. The question is, how far do I see them going in the WWE? Look, Maria obviously has a bit of a name value, and she still looks really, really good. She's a very attractive woman. Mike Bennett, from what I hear, I haven't really seen much of his matches, to be honest, but from what I hear, he's okay. Nothing really special. So I'm not sure how far they can really go. I mean, obviously the Maria in his corner will definitely help him, but I don't know if that's enough to really get him going. And maybe in NXT they might find the best out of him. I think without a doubt he'll be going to NXT, and I think that's the way to go. Try and get him a character, get him a reaction, get him a catchphrase, do something, get something where he can get a reaction, and work on his ring ability, and see how he goes. Obviously Maria being there, I think will just make him look like $1 million. Having an attractive woman by his side. Something that I think wrestling is certainly missing is a valet, and I think Maria there would certainly help. But obviously, look at the Miz and Maurice, works really well. Will the UK guys make the main roster? So the guys in the WWE UK obviously killed it at NXT TakeOver Chicago. Will they ever make the main roster? I'm going to say probably no. Certainly not this year or next year. Maybe they could in late next year, but I don't think the plan is to have these UK guys make the main roster. I think the plan is just to have them strictly in this UK thing. Look, let's say Tyler Bate or Pete Dunne, for example, really makes it big in this UK show. They might get tempted to bring them up to the main roster, but I think what you'll see is these guys in NXT, enter the UK show, at least for a long period of time. And the reason why they're going to do that is because they want to have this UK show at being unique. They want to have it so, Pete Dunne, he's really, popular. Well, you need to watch this UK show to see him. So that's the deal. Should the women's tournament be named after Fabulous Moolah? Obviously, it's been named after Mae Young. A lot of controversy there. Many people believe it should be Moolah. Look, I don't really have a problem with it. Either or. Obviously Moolah had the women's championship for such a long time, but a lot of criticism on her personality and her character and who she really was as a person. A lot of criticism there, and obviously Mae Young, very, very respected by everyone in the business, loved her. So honestly, I haven't really a problem with it. I'm a little surprised they named it after anyone, but I think it's nice. Emma, her injury isn't that bad. She'll be back next month, by the looks of it. What's her future? Well, look, she came back and got injured straight away. So I'm starting to really believe that her future is looking pretty grim. She's getting a lot of injuries, can't seem to stay out there. And because of that, I think they're going to start losing faith in her. I guess the plan was to have Dana Brooke and Emma have a bit of a rivalry, a bit of a feud, and we haven't seen much of Dana Brooke since Emma's gone down. So they might rekindle that, they might renew that when Emma does come back, but geez, you want to just see Emma stay out there for a long period of time, because otherwise I really believe she could be on the chopping block, and I think it's a shame. I think Emma's a good worker. I think she's a good wrestler. I think she's, decent on the mic, and, when she came to Australia, everyone loved her. So there you go. So we don't have many Australians to really cheer for, so if we can get Emma, we're happy with that. Finally, should there be a women's Money in the Bank ladder match? Yes, I think so. I think it might be time. I think it would add a really unique element to the women's division we've never seen before. There's enough women to really warrant it. Now, I wouldn't really want to see just the SmackDown women do it. I really believe it's a mistake having Money in the Bank as a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view. It doesn't feel right. It should be a joint pay-per-view, or at least a Money in the Bank ladder match with 3 guys from Raw, 3 guys from SmackDown. That's the way to do it, in my opinion. Not everyone from SmackDown, because that way, you got Money in the Bank, you could go to either show, you could cash in on either championship. It adds that really exciting possibility of the unknown, what could happen. So it adds more possibilities. So I really believe that's the way they should have done it, not the exclusive. So should there be a women's one? Absolutely. Give us a new element to the women's division we've never really seen before. And that's your 5 questions, and that's in 5 minutes. I think we were in under time this week, so that's good. All right, so before we get into your questions, one little bit of gaming news or gaming discussions. Injustice 2. I have my hands on it. I have played it. and I will give you guys a quick little review on Injustice 2. Look, it's pretty good. The graphics are great. The characters, look, as you guys know, I don't really care for superheroes. I'm not a superhero guy. I think Marvel's got a better set of superheroes, in my opinion, than DC does. So I go on Injustice 2, and I look at all these characters in the game, and I only know probably 1/3 of them. If that's probably being generous, 1/4 of them. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, those types of characters. I don't really know a lot of them. So there's a lot of characters I don't know of. So that's a bit of an issue from the get-go. And that's just me. I don't, follow comic books or watch Marvel, DC shows or Marvel shows for that matter. So I don't really, take an interest in that. So that's, a lot of you guys may know that. So that was one little thing that I slightly had a bit of a problem with. But gameplay's good. Feels a lot like, a Mortal Kombat, certainly with a lot of, the finishes, the special moves and doing all the crazy things. It just feels and runs a bit like, very much so like Mortal Kombat. Not a bad thing, and pretty fun. I don't like fighting games. The only fighting game I've ever really liked was Tekken, which reminds me the new Tekken is coming out pretty soon. I'm tempted to buy the new Tekken. I really am. I really enjoyed Tekken 6, really did. So that's very tempting to get Tekken 7. So Injustice, I didn't really care for the first one, but the second one's pretty good. So if you like fighting games, this is really a game you should get. But obviously Tekken 7, you might want to wait until Tekken's out and make your decision then. I don't know when Tekken is out. I just know it's soon. So it's a tough choice. Tekken probably will be better in my opinion. I just think there generally is. But so it is a good game. I definitely, probably I haven't played much of the campaign yet, but I would probably give it a good 8 out of 10, and that's from someone who does not like fighting games because I am atrocious at them, and they don't really interest me. Here's the thing, me and fighting games, I play it, I might play for an hour, and I'm really done with it for a good period of time. It's something that I like versing a friend in, not necessarily playing a campaign or anything like that, so I like the on the couch versing a friend element to it, but playing online and playing in the story and things like that doesn't really interest me that much, so yeah. So look, I give it probably a good 8 out of 10, and shout out to my boy Samir for hooking me up with that game. Appreciate it, man. So yeah, so Injustice, not a bad game, but maybe if I'm going to pick up a fighting game, it may very well be Tekken. And look, I thought Mortal Kombat was going to be the one for me, but to be honest, I think I've enjoyed Tekken a lot more than even Mortal Kombat. So alright, let's get into your questions for this week's show. Alrighty, so the first question is coming from Zach Lucas. Will you ever add the UK Championship to Universe Mode? Well, Zach, probably not, to be honest with you. The only possible time I would have added the UK Championship to Universe Mode is if I wanted it to be the secondary championship on NXT. But the thing is, if I was going to add the UK Championship, I need a lot more space to add UK stars. I have no roster spots available because my custom-created superstar slots are all taken. I've got none available, really. I'm struggling to add people as it is. There's a lot of guys I could add in already, but I can't. So maybe there's a chance in 2K18. Very unlikely, though, because let's be honest, is there going to be many UK guys on that? Probably not. So, and I think we're good for championships anyways. I think we've got enough as it is. This one is from Xavier King. His thoughts are Jinder Mahal's title reign or Brock Lesnar's title reign. They're both probably as bad as each other. I mean, I guess Jinder Mahal wins by default because he's actually showed up as the champion once. That's nice. Thoughts on the NBA playoffs? This is from him as well. Thoughts on the NBA playoffs? Look, I still believe Cleveland will win. Look, the Warriors have got such a stacked team, but I just, look, LeBron, man, he's such a good player. I just can't look past him. I can never bet against LeBron. I'm a big LeBron fan. Obviously, I like Miami Heat, and LeBron did some great things there. And I'm not really a big fan of Steph Curry at all, to be honest with you. I just don't like the style he plays. So, look, it's got to be hard to beat the Warriors, but I'm going to go with the underdog. I'm going to go with Cleveland. What games are you most excited for coming out soon? Look, I really wanted to see Red Dead Redemption 2, but that got pushed back. So, there's not really that many games that I'm that excited to come out. Look, to be honest with you, I don't really know what's coming out. I just kind of, see it, buy it, fine. I have so many games as it is that I haven't played. I just bought NHL 17 today, and it was like $10. So I was like, all right, let me check it out. So I'm currently giving that a try. I also bought the new Walking Dead as well, season 3 of The Walking Dead. I think all the episodes are just about out, so that's going to be good. So I've got a lot of games I want to play already, and I have no time to play them, but I'm going to try and make the time. I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I've kind of I haven't finished it, but I've kind of lost a little bit of interest on that just for a little bit. And I've been trying to finish Titanfall 2's campaign and trying to get the platinum on that. So that's been my gaming. And last question from Xavier King. Who do you think will be on the cover of 2K18? I think this may be the year we may see multiple superstars, including a woman. It wouldn't surprise me if Charlotte is on there, Roman Reigns is on there, and maybe they put Brock Lesnar on there as well. Lesnar is the main guy, Reigns on one side, Charlotte on the other side. I could see something like that. Or maybe, you never know, they could just put heaps of people on. I think it's time to do a multi-man and a woman on there as well. Thomas Speller, do you prefer a long feud with a big blow-up? Absolutely. A feud that's not dragged out, but, played out slowly, but really well. It's great. As I said, I've been watching 2005 WWE, and they do a lot of that there, and feud, just subtle hints, and then they start building and building and building, and then they have a big match at the pay-per-view, and it's meaningful, and it works. Obviously back then they had, at least 6 to 2 months between a pay-per-view, because it was brand exclusive pay-per-views, and they didn't put one out every month for each brand, so, they had a lot more time to build up towards the matchup, and when they got to the payoff, they got to the pay-per-view, it meant that little bit more. So absolutely, I prefer a long feud. I don't want to see a feud that happens over the course of 3 weeks and they verse each other 3 weeks in a row and that's it. Who really wants to see that? Cameron Fox, how do you feel about Scott Steiner returning to TNA? Look, it was a bit of a shock. I don't recall if I mentioned it on the podcast, but I don't think it's going to really mean all that much. I just think he's, there for an appearance or two. But hey, good old Scott, if he can still work, that's fine. If he can still get a job, that's great. I'm a big fan of Scott Steiner. He's, a legend in my opinion. Thomas Speller, do you think WWE should go back to doing just the big 4 pay-per-views? Well, that's the thing. The question is, how can WWE improve their pay-per-views? Obviously, NXT takeovers are always really quality. And I think the reason is because they space it out. What is it, every 3 months or something like that? They have a takeover special, something like that, if maybe a little less, but certainly not all the time. And when you get a takeover, it's meaningful, it's special. The matches have had plenty of build towards it. Whereas you get a WWE pay-per-view, you're like, oh shit, it's a pay-per-view already? We just had the last one. I mean, what the hell? Why are we doing another one already? That's what it always feels like. And then you get to the pay-per-view, and it's just like a slightly better Raw, or a slightly better SmackDown. It's nothing really special. Whereas TakeOver is a big deal. It's 2.5 hours. Normally you get 1 hour of NXT, and this is the issue. You get 3 hours of Raw, and you get, 3 hours of pay-per-view. And sometimes 3 hours and 15 minutes of Raw. So, you get so much of Raw as it is, when you get to the pay-per-view, your interest just isn't there. So, 2 hour SmackDown, maybe not as bad, but still, there's so much of it. And they don't have enough time to build. They don't have enough stars to really, create stories that can last long periods of time without having to have each other verse each other to keep the interest. Cameron Fox, do you think Jinder Mahal should hold the championship for 6 months or longer? No, I don't think so. I mean, look, I'm not, like I said, I'm no Jinder Mahal fan, but, I think a good 3-4 month reign would be good. Test the waters, see how it goes, and then, the ratings are already going to be very bad over the course of, that Survivor Series October period. It's already going to be shocking there. You don't want to make it any worse, surely. King Gold. Brendan, what did you think about 2005 Judgment Day? I loved it, and afterwards they hyped it up as one of the best SmackDown pay-per-views of all time. Did I like it? Yeah, look, as you guys know, I've been watching 2005 WWE, and I just watched WWE Judgment Day. Honestly, probably one of the best pay-per-views I've watched since I've started watching. Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, such one of the best. Eddie Guerrero's promo on Rey Mysterio, the heel turn promo is one of the greatest promos I've heard. I get chills when I listen to it. So good. And then look, they even had an angle with Kurt Angle, no pun intended, but Kurt Angle and Booker T. The storyline was that Kurt Angle was trying to get to Booker T's wife, and when the hell would you ever see a storyline like that these days? They even insinuated that Kurt Angle may have even raped her or something like that. Something ridiculous. It was nuts. Very, very different storyline to what you would get. And the matches are great. Then we had the I Quit match at the end between Cena and JBL. I really wasn't expecting much out of that match, but it was brutal. It was what a main event should feel like. Yes, it was a bloodbath. It was a little bit over the top with the blood, but it was crazy. I didn't watch the undercard matches because I just didn't get the time to do it, but I should go back and do that. But I watched the big 3 matches on there, and they were so great. So, so good. If you haven't seen Judgment Day 2005, go out of your way. If you can, watch the build-up towards it as well. It'll make it that much better. It was so, so good. Really, really good pay-per-view. And for a brand-exclusive pay-per-view too, very, very good. Michael Ernie, if Asuka gets the call-up, what brand should she be on, Raw or SmackDown? Look, at the moment, I think both are pretty even. Look, SmackDown could use a really big-name heel now that Charlotte's a babyface. They don't, they've got Natalya, they've got Carmella, Tamina. Natalya is going okay, but Carmella's still in the works. Tamina's really, starting to basically revive her career. So they could use a big-name heel there and have Becky, Charlotte, and Naomi go up against her. On Raw, they've got Alexa Bliss. You've got Nia Jax as well. Emma when she comes back. So they've got heels there. So they probably don't really need Asuka trying to overshadow. So I think a heel Asuka could come up to SmackDown and really really take over. And another one here about Asuka. This one's from Ryan Fleming. And it's our final question of the show this week. Do you think Asuka is the best wrestler in the currently in the women's division on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT? And also, do you watch NXT every week? Look, I don't watch NXT every week because it's just difficult to follow the product. NXT doesn't really have my interest. There's only a few guys there that I would go out of my way to watch. I watched Patrick Clark make his debut. I watched clips of him, and he got a really negative reception on the YouTube comments, and I can see why. The gimmick's kind of ludicrous, but I watched Patrick Clark in a house show, like I said, in December, and he got so much heat. Everyone booed him out of the building. He was just, everyone hated the guy, and all for the right reasons. He got really good boos. His character was really generating a lot of heat because. Here he is, he had a headband on and he was being over dramatic and sexual with a headband and, it was just being ridiculous. It was just over the top. It was silly and the crowd hated it, hated him for it. So from that, I really believe there's potential in that type of character and he could really work with that. So when there is something to watch on NXT, I'll go out of my way to watch it. In terms of Asuka, she probably is the best, absolutely. I would argue Charlotte, obviously Charlotte with the promo ability. Her babyface run so far hasn't been very good, so let's hope she can kind of pick up on that. She hasn't really had much of an opportunity, to be fair. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But definitely Asuka is right up there, if not the best. She's obviously overtaken Goldberg's winning streak, which is pretty cool as well. But look, I probably wouldn't have her come to the main roster anytime soon. Just keep her beating everyone in NXT until someone finally comes along to beat her. It'd be a massive deal. Whoever beats her that's a huge, huge victory. So, looking forward to it. But, definitely like Asuka. She's really great, to be honest. And she probably is the number one, if not, very close. But that's it for this week's edition of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. What's coming up next on BrendenPlayz? We've got bragging rights, not this weekend, but the next weekend, I believe. I think that's when I want to have it done, so keep an eye out for that. A few matches have been announced, so check out the website, BrendenPlayz.com, for that. Check out my second channel. It's really going well. We're getting very close to hitting 2,000 subscribers already. We've only been going for about 6 weeks, so it's been really, really successful. So check that out. The link is in the description down below. And that's really all I have to say. Follow me on Twitter as well, @BrendenPlayz. Leave a like on the Facebook page. BrendenPlayz is the name. Thank you very much for listening in. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next Thursday.